Hello, and welcome to Sideways. It's a windy morning, so I expect it's a bit blowy in your ears here, but I wanted you to hear the murmuration of starlings. Is that right? Is that the collective noun for starlings? Murmuration? I think so. That sit in this tree every day. Listen to them. It's like they're all woken up and they're having a chat. And if you're a starling that wants to get a bit of peace and quiet, well, you're in trouble. Anyway, this week you'll no doubt be familiar with the concept of FOMO, fear of missing out, but I wonder if you've come across its polar opposite and discovered the pleasure that can result from saying no to invitations and social engagement. Well, if so, that's what we're talking about this week. And like any self-respecting Brits, we soon find reasons to discuss the weather and hear about a man who thought he'd made a surprising sighting of a member of the royal family in the mid-1970s. We both express disdain for putting dogs in clothes and feel grateful for the radio and attending a funeral. Jomo, the joy of missing out. Come on, girls.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, all right as it goes. All right. I'm all set up much earlier this week.
You're still rocking the blurred background.
I like the blurred background.
Do you?
Yeah. You've got the sideways background up, haven't you?
Yeah.
Sideways logo.
It's better than a blurred background.
Well, I haven't imported any pictures onto my computer yet, so
You could put anything up there. You could put, I don't know, you standing on a beach or something.
I could do that, but I'm just happy with blur.
You like Blur, don't you?
I do like blur. Yeah.
Were they your favourite of the Britpop bands?
I was a bit of an Oasis fan, really. I know that's not very hip to say these days, probably.
Well, it's very hip to say that these days, isn't it? Because they're playing next. Did you try and get tickets after your terrible attempt at getting Glastonbury tickets?
No, I didn't. But Glastonbury tickets, they're up for next year. They're going up for sale soon, so I should try again. Yeah.
Will you be having another go?
Yeah, for sure.
Excellent. Anyway, stop dripping on.
I am dripping on. Yeah, I'm going to get on with it because do you remember you probably do remember back in April 2021? I pretty remember.
Yeah, I remember it. I remember it vividly. Yeah.
We recorded back in season 3, episode 21. We did an episode entitled FOMO.
Yeah.
Which was obviously the fear of missing out.
Yeah.
What I wanted to talk to you today is sort of the polar opposite, really, the Jomo, the joy of missing out. So it's only taken 3.5 years to do a response to the FOMO one, to do the opposite of that. But, we like to explore these properly before we jump in, don't we?
Better late than never.
Exactly. Because I think you were quite excited about doing this episode when I mentioned it to you. Well, we were on the way up to the O2, weren't we, to watch Peter Kay?
Yeah.
And in the car, you said, "What are you going to do your notes on?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to do it on the joy of missing out." And you seemed quite enthusiastic about that.
Yeah, I feel like it's very much in my wheelhouse.
It is really. It feeds into your narrative, doesn't it?
It does. It does. In fact, I feel a little bit sore that I didn't come up with the expression.
Well, it's relevant to recovery as well because. The fear of missing out is so prevalent in the early days as you can't sort of consider that life is going to be better without alcohol. You fear what's going to happen and you fear on missing out on parties and get-togethers and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of FOMO. And initially it's best to miss out on those sort of events anyway. Or you may not get invited. That happened to me in the early days because people were a bit scared about being the protagonist in me relapsing.
I don't think that has anything to do with your drinking. I think they just didn't want you around.
They didn't want me around. No, they've invited me since, so I'm all right with that. So I've put that into perspective. But you know when your recovery is really taking shape, when you no longer hanker for those debauched nights out, or which often end up in massive hangovers or worse in many cases, and you discover the joys of not drinking, the joys of much better alternatives. You discover the joys of remaining sober at certain events, while others around you descend into chaos.
Well, I suppose part of being in long-term recovery involves broadening your horizons in terms of the way that you spend your time, doesn't it?
It's exactly right. Yeah, I still have a great joy in missing out on alcohol. Well, I don't see it as missing out anymore, but to fit in with the narrative of this episode, I've put it like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll explore that. But before we start, just a quick question: do you consult weather apps on your phone or on your?
Yes, I do.
I don't know if you've noticed it in the news this week. The BBC weather app had a glitch, and it predicted winds of 14,408 miles per hour near London.
I'm glad I didn't see that, because I definitely would have put the cover on my my parasol in the garden.
And also overnight temperature in Nottingham of 404 Celsius.
Yeah, so that's warm, isn't it?
It would have been a bit weird. Yeah, you'd had to throw your duvet back, wouldn't you? Stick your leg out on that night.
I might have left the fan on all night in Nottingham. Of course, you'd have been stuck. There'd been a quandary, wouldn't there? Because you wouldn't want to leave your windows open in Nottingham, because the air outside would be, warmer. So it's one of those days where if it's 400 degrees outside, you're better off leaving the windows closed, aren't you?
Well, most stuff would be burning outside anyway, wouldn't it? It'd be a light. You'd have to keep the windows closed to stop the smoke coming in. Yeah, I must admit, I do use the BBC weather app, but I did see it in the news, but I didn't see it at the time, so it didn't give me a shock. No.
Although I suspect I probably would have assumed it was a mistake, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you wouldn't let it put a kink in your day, really, would you?
I don't think so.
That's not right.
No. Yeah, I do. I rely on weather apps quite heavily because I'm outside a lot. And if I listen to the weather forecast, I was having this conversation with my sister yesterday. If I listen to the weather forecast on the news, on the radio, even though it's only about a minute and a half long, when it starts, I think, oh, great, weather, I wonder what's happening. And then by the time it's finished, I realised I haven't listened to any of it.
You haven't listened? I do. That's strange, isn't it? Because I've had that with the weather. You start off with great intentions.
Yeah.
And then you think, oh, I wasn't listening properly anyway, so you just have to look outside, use your own intuition.
Exactly. I can't maintain my concentration on the weather forecast for more than about 15 seconds.
No, perhaps there is some sort of an issue there that you've got that you need to address. But no, I share that one, strangely. Perhaps it's just the weather.
What you mean? It's really boring?
It's really boring, yeah.
They need to jazz it up a bit, don't they?
They should, unless perhaps I get distracted by Laura Tobin or Carol Kirkwood or something, and I forget to listen to what they're saying.
It could be that. What they ought to do is they ought to sprinkle in sort of random expletives or something, so that we're looking out for them.
Little jokey memes or something that come up in the corner.
Yeah. Or subliminal messaging that will get us the message about the weather without us actually having to listen to it.
Yeah. There's a lot there that
I'll write to the BBC. I'll see what I can come up with.
If you could. Now they've had a few glitches, they should be looking for outside help, shouldn't they?
I'd have thought so, yeah.
There was another story which I found quite amusing, was Dan Costello, a Canadian, is featured in a documentary. And the documentary is about exploring the British royal family's ties with aliens, right? Yeah, I know. Because he reckoned he once saw King Charles. He would have been Prince Charles at the time, behind the wheel of a UFO that zipped across the skies of a tiny coastal community in Nova Scotia in 1975.
Right.
If that isn't evidence enough of the time,
Well, I mean, he saw it with his own eyes, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Well, I don't know. What more proof do you need?
No, it's solid, isn't it? I mean, it's. Because you can always ID the pilots when they go over in crafts, can't you?
Definitely, and there's absolutely. I mean, it could have been a passing resemblance to the then Prince Charles, couldn't it?
It could have been, but no, it was definitely him. Apparently,
was there any other? Did he mention any other sort of significant indicator that it was him? Like, was he? I don't know. Was he wearing a crown or?
He
holding a
did
corgi under his arm or something like that.
talking to plants in the cockpit.
Prince Andrew next to him, not sweating.
There wasn't any of that, but it's. I'm gonna have to watch the documentary because that definitely looks real, doesn't it?
It definitely does, and I'm surprised we haven't heard about it
Well, it should have
more widely.
should have been in the main news. But he's taken from 1975 till now to come to talk about it. Perhaps he's in shock. You never know.
Well, he'd only been. What would he have been in his 20s? Then late 20s in 70. What did you say? 71,
75. Yeah.
Well, he wouldn't have been much more than 30. What was he doing flying UFOs? I would have thought he was doing his military service in those.
He was in the military service. He was based near there, apparently, at the time.
Oh, okay. So he's moonlighting, flying UFOs when he's not flying fighters.
Yeah, he's flying helicopters about, apparently, at the time. So he just jumped into a UFO in cahoots.
It's all making sense, isn't it, now?
It is making sense.
Everything's dropping into place.
It is, yeah. Jury will definitely find that in his favour. Anyway, the joys of missing out. A quick definition.
Yeah.
The joy of missing out, Jomo, is a state of mind that involves feeling positive about not participating in an event or experience. It's the opposite of FOMO, or the fear of missing out, which can cause anxiety and other negative emotions. And I was thinking about this. I mean, yeah, I do get a bit of that, but also, do you get it? I get it more retrospectively, where you say, "Oh, I'm glad I didn't do that. I'm glad I didn't go there."
Like in for what? What sort of thing do you mean?
For me, I suppose the last incidence of Jomo for me was I was going to go and watch Maidstone United play, walk down the road, and I sort of get up to go, and then I didn't quite fancy it. The weather was a bit inclement, and I didn't go, and I thought, I'm going to miss out now. But I said,
what was it, 400 degrees or something?
It was 404. Yeah, come down from Nottingham. They were playing Nottingham Forest away. But anyway, I didn't go to the match, and then the score came. They'd lost 5-1, and I thought, you know what, I'm glad I didn't go. So I had a little bit of joy in not going to that.
Okay, so you had a kind of double layer of joy. You had a layer of joy that came from making a decision not to go because your heart wasn't in it.
Exactly.
And then you had another layer of joy that came when you realised you would have had to witness an absolute thrashing.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like okay, so when you're acting on your instinct there, when you're thinking, oh, I don't know if I really fancy this, that's quite interesting in itself, isn't it? Because that is a point at which a lot of people would kind of ignore that and just go, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
So you're kind of acting out the theory that if it's not a definite yes, it's a definite no.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a definite no about 99% of the time.
Yeah, you are. Which is why I think, well, I'm just going to look at the benefits and some tips for embracing Jomo, which is the next part of it, which I'm sure you're feed into quite nicely. I'm sure your experience in this area will be invaluable to our listeners. Yes, so just looking at the benefits, pretty broad sweeping really, but I'm sure you can pad them out a little bit. The first one was improved well-being. Jomo can help with both emotional and physical well-being. Do you get that?
Yeah, I do, because I mean, in a way, it's kind of related to what you just said there. That there is a part of what prevents us from kind of stepping back from things when we want to. I'm not suggesting anyone should act like me. I mean, I'm very antisocial. So let's not use me as a model.
No.
But I think one of the reasons people don't step out of things and say, no, I don't want to go to things, is sometimes because they feel as if they ought to.
Yeah.
And so one of the benefits of missing out is that you are able to focus on your own needs, whatever they may be. So you might be focusing on your own emotional needs because, I don't know, you're particularly tired, you're exhausted, and you could just do with a night in or whatever. You might be focusing on your own physical needs because you think, actually, I could do with an early night. I could do with getting a bit more sleep. And so I think those are tangible benefits of missing out. And for a lot of people, they don't necessarily consider that there are benefits to saying no to things. They think, well, no, I've been invited, so I ought to go, or they get FOMO. You know, they think, well, if I don't go, I'm going to feel bad about it. But
exactly.
You almost have to kind of stick with it long enough to see that there are also benefits in missing out on things.
Which leads into the next one, which is increased productivity. Jomo can help you focus on what you enjoy and be more productive. So
I'm not keen on this one.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. Because yes, I'm sure that is true, but I think generally there is a bit too much focus on productivity.
Okay.
You know, one could argue that one of the joys of missing out is that you can do fuck all.
Proper fuck all.
Exactly. You know, I don't want to not do stuff so that I can get the hoovering done and do the washing and the ironing, and I don't do any ironing. But that's not what I enjoy about missing out. What I enjoy about missing out is being able to, instead of spending that kind of leisure time, if you like, with other people or doing something organised, I can do my own thing. So, yeah, I'm sure it does offer opportunity to be more productive, but I think we overvalue productivity.
Okay.
You know, we don't have to be constantly productive, do we?
No, we don't. No, absolutely right. But the next one was better relationships. Yeah.
I don't know how that works.
Well, Jomo can help you engage more with your relationship. So if you're
if you're living with someone, yes,
exactly. Like when I was married, for example, the fear of missing out on a Friday night at the pub was immense. Really, you know.
I was thinking of it from a slightly different perspective, in that, you know, one of the potential drawbacks of missing out is that you probably are going to have fewer close relationships. As I think I mentioned to you when we were on our way to the O2 earlier in the week with Adam and Lisa in the car as well. If I'd had an accident, my entire friendship group would have been wiped in one fell swoop. So you know, like they used to, if you were going on a business conference, they wouldn't put all the top executives on the same plane, would they? They'd have to spread them across flights in case there was an air crash. I was feeling the same way about driving to Greenwich.
Well, yeah, it's not quite the same, but I think they do the same with the royal family. So perhaps that's why Charles was on a UFO.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
It does make sense now. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's making his own way to a family conference.
In a UFO. Why did he go in a UFO though? Why not just take a helicopter? Perhaps it's quicker.
Yeah, speed of light or whatever, probably. Speed
of light, probably faster than that, actually. Yeah.
Anyway, now the next one I think is, I think we probably already touched on it. We certainly touched on it when we did the episode on FOMO, but freedom from comparison. Because Jomo can help you break free from the constant comparison that social media and societal pressures can create. Which we've talked long and hard about that, really, haven't we? About
yeah, that is true. I mean, there is that sort of pressure to be seen, to be having a good time, to be, you know, curating the highlights of your life. I think one of the things, I don't know if you're going to come on and talk about it, but one of the things that you do get as a result of Jomo is the opportunity. You know, you have to take it. It doesn't just sort of fall upon you, but the opportunity to find joy in much simpler, basic aspects of life.
Yeah.
So, in that sense, the joy that comes from missing out still has to be earned. But what it does, I think, is it opens up different avenues for you. You know, if you spend a lot of your time socializing, you're kind of relying on the external world to create for you a sense of enjoyment. You know, either your friends or the places you go, or, you know, drink or whatever it might be. Whereas when you're not doing that, when you're stepping away from that and you're spending time alone, or in a kind of simpler fashion, then you have to find that for yourself, don't you? You have to find it from within. And I think that's one of the fundamental differences between the two. Perhaps it's one of the reasons why, you know, a lot of people don't readily discover the joy of missing out.
No, I think it's something perhaps you stumble on. Perhaps you get it more in your later years.
That's perfectly possible.
Yeah.
Although I think there probably is more. There's a kind of bigger movement towards the joy of missing out than there used to be, didn't there? I
Yeah.
saw something in the papers a couple of weeks ago about how universities are kind of reorientating what have traditionally been freshers' weeks, because a lot more students are going into university not being drinkers. They don't want to go out and party all the time. They want to do other stuff. So they're having, I don't know, Scrabble evenings or whatever it might be. But, the idea being, I mean, they're still kind of social events, but the tone of them is different.
Yeah.
And I think that does reflect perhaps how people are becoming a little bit more discerning in terms of the way they want to spend their time and what gives them a sense of joy. Which is a good thing.
I agree. And so we are seeing a societal shift in a number of areas. But just going back to that comparison on social media thing, because people don't put up stuff that when things go horribly wrong. Often it's the joy, isn't it? And look at me, I'm good, sort of thing. And so the joy, you get retrospective FOMO in that case sometimes, don't you? You can think, oh, I missed out on that because it looks so good. Where when the reality of it may not, that would only been a sanitized one split second of what was happening at that time, which made it look good, and when it really wasn't.
Yeah, that's right. And actually, it kind of throws a different light on the use of social media. I mean, I used to, for a long time, if I put something on Instagram, for example, which is probably the social media app that I would use more than others, it would invariably be a picture of some sort of countryside and the dogs.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where I thought, I don't know if it's really worth me putting this stuff up anymore. I mean, this is for me. Who am I putting this up for?
Yeah, quite.
And so I hardly ever post anything now. So I think there's also, I think it comes from this feeling of Jomo. There is a gradual, natural detachment from a digital life.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, obviously, I still use social media apps and computers and stuff, but I certainly, to take the point you just made, I'm not kind of flaunting what I'm doing all the time because nobody gives a shit, do they?
No,
Who cares if I'm walking in the vineyards at 6:30 in the morning? Nobody cares about it.
Only the owners. You trample on their vines.
Yeah, I don't go trampling on vines. I did taste a grape this morning, though.
Did you?
They're very small this year, the grapes, apparently.
Are they?
I'm told that they can only make sparkling wine this year. So that'll interest you, will it?
Not really. But I'm going to go on to, you touched on one of the tips for embracing Jomo just there, inadvertently. So but I'm going to go on to these tips. Okay. And I'll start off with that one that you just touched on there, which was doing one of the ways to embrace Jomo is doing a digital detox. So coming away from all that.
Yeah, I think to me, the best form of a digital detox is one that comes naturally.
Yeah.
So I think I'm not saying it doesn't work, but I think if you say to yourself, right, I'm on social media too much, I'm going to cut it all out. For a lot of people, that becomes difficult, if not impossible.
Yeah.
But I think what I've found is that as I've spent most of my time doing things that aren't particularly interesting to tell other people. I mean, who wants to see me making coffee in the morning? Nobody. What's happened is there's been a kind of natural progression. I think I think it comes this way round. I think the more you get joy from doing stuff, simpler stuff, off your own bat, without the necessity for, big ticket stuff around you, the more likely you are to naturally draw yourself away from social media.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it can be very easy to just have a scroll through, even if you're not putting stuff up yourself, just a sort of just to check on others, really. Yeah. Almost not stalking exactly, but to have a look, see what else is going on.
I still do that, but I think I don't know. It's about the prominence, isn't it, of a social media life. It doesn't feel as if it's central to my existence at all.
It must be quite tricky.
And I like that.
Yeah, no, quite. No, I understand that completely. And it must be quite tricky if you're one of these sort of influencers who spent every moment of every day is virtually posted online, and they're talking about various things. And
well, I suppose if you're an influencer, you're probably your your ability to experience the joy of missing out is in some way limited, or
Yeah, yeah.
or you're going to find it in a different way. I don't know. I expect there are influencers that talk about the joy of missing out,
There
aren't
may
they?
be.
There's something sort of slightly paradoxical about that. But I'm not saying, you can't have a digital life if you're going to experience the joy of missing out. But I do think there is a natural impact on that sort of activity.
It'll pull you away from Jomo more towards FOMO, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it pulls you away. Yeah, it does. Yeah, yeah.
But the next couple of points, sort of next to each other, really, or conjoined. But setting boundaries. This is one of the tips for embracing Jomo. So setting boundaries.
This is no is a complete sentence.
And that was the next one, was saying no.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they're the same thing, aren't they? They're both about boundaries.
That's why I conjoined them, because I think they're two different points, but they work nicely together, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's absolutely true. There is a benefit in having healthy boundaries, and part of the benefit is experiencing the joy of missing out.
Yeah.
If you always think that saying no and rejecting an invitation somewhere is going to end in misery, then obviously you're not going to do it very often, are you? But yeah, I think, as we were saying earlier, you kind of have to stick with it long enough to see that, well, there are alternative ways of spending my time. And sometimes that might be quite nice. Not all the time necessarily, like me, but, sometimes.
Oh, no, that's fair. Fair point. The next one was making time for self-care. So there are tips for embracing Jomo. So again, that's taking time away from doing what you think you should be doing it for yourself.
Does that mean having a bath with a bath bomb and a candle?
Absolutely, it does. Yeah, if that floats your boat, then that's the right way to go, isn't it?
I haven't got any boats, but I've got some little ducks that you gave me.
Do they still flash?
Yeah.
Do they?
I don't flash. No, they don't flash anymore. Stopped flashing years ago, but they're, But it's an unnecessary embellishment. I mean, they're ducks and they happily bob around in the water. I mean, who wants more than that?
Well, quite. No, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see you paint a very pretty picture.
I mean, what would you rather do? Go out partying till 4 a.m, or sit in a warm bath with some rubber ducks?
As you get older, the latter becomes much more attractive. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Next point was it says to invest in offline connections. Invest in offline connections.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've just been talking about that, haven't we? We kind of create a pseudo connection, don't we, through our use of social media. I don't know about you, but I've got a lot of people in my friends list on Facebook that I probably haven't seen since I was at school with them.
No, quite.
I mean, what's the point of that, really? No. So I think what part of the benefit of detaching is that you can create meaningful connection with people. So if you're not doing stuff constantly in a big crowd, you do give yourself the opportunity to create more meaningful, deeper connections with fewer people.
Oh, I agree. And the last one was making a list of activities you enjoy.
It's funny I did that this morning.
Did you?
Yeah.
What's on your list then?
I was thinking about what is joyful about missing out for me, because I thought I better, I like to prepare carefully for all of these. It was difficult for me to make a kind of clear list because they were all really tiny things, like going for a walk, reading a book, making coffee, stroking the dog, tiny little things. I think as we've talked before, we've said this before about gratitude. Oh, art. I enjoy that. I'm terrible at it, but I love it. That's another, good thing to, it gives you a good opportunity to do stuff you're not necessarily expert at.
Yeah.
But we talked about this before, that how gratitude quite often, when it's at its most powerful, comes in the tiniest, most seemingly insignificant packages. Mm. So, it's difficult for me sometimes to say how I spend my day, but I enjoy it, cooking, making bread.
I think, things to encompass. There's a lack of anxiety or stress around your day.
Yeah, there isn't. I mean, that's true. And I think that is another benefit of missing out, that it does, unless you feel very lonely, which obviously is stressful. Yeah. But if you can get to the point where you quite enjoy alone time, then yeah, it does. It reduces stress and anxiety. I don't want to have an anxious, stressful life. Thanks very much.
No, quite. But you've got it taped down, haven't you?
Well, I think so. On balance, I mean, I experience stress and anxiety the same as everybody else, but I try not to invite it.
Quite, yeah. Which is a nice way to round up my notes, really, because that's as far as I've gone with this. As far as I wanted to go with it, really. It's not a subject which you can needs great exploration. It's down to yourself, isn't it, to find
what's on your list. What's on your list of what's joyful about missing out?
I didn't write a list down.
Well, off the top of your head, what do you like about missing out?
Probably the comfort of not going out into bad weather, for example, or going out into situations where, which is perhaps it's anxiety inducing.
Yeah.
But again, as I've got older, I get much more pleasure in missing out on going out to pubs and clubs and that sort of thing.
Yeah, although you do, I mean, I'd say my observation is, I think you strike quite a healthy balance because you still go out quite a lot.
Yeah.
And you also clearly value the time that you have alone.
I do, yeah.
Which is good. You're probably the model to aspire to. Not me, because you'll find there won't be anybody around.
No, I think I've struck a happy balance because I do know when to say no now. That was my problem.
Yeah,
I'd never say no. If someone said, "Do you want to go there?" Yep, regardless of whether I really wanted to or not. But I do now. I do that now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's good for everybody, isn't it? Because nobody wants you hanging around if you don't really want to be there.
Well, no, quite. No, I'm all grumpy and shit. It's bad enough at the best of times.
Correct. Yeah. Took the words right out of my mouth, as Meatloaf would say.
We're talking of which.
The late Meatloaf.
Eh?
The late Meatloaf.
The late Meatloaf, yeah. Yeah, sort of miss no new Meatloaf songs coming out, really. I used to like a bit of Jim Steinman. Was that his name? He used to write all his stuff. Yeah.
You miss no new Meatloaf songs coming out?
Yeah. They were epics, weren't they? But Out of Hell, when that came out, you think, wow, that was just fantastic.
Yeah, you were going back to probably the late 70s now, aren't you? 70, was that 77?
I think it was. I think I had it on 12-inch red vinyl.
Did you?
Can't get better than that, can you?
I reckon that's one of those albums that everybody's got, isn't it?
Yeah, that was the single, I think. But
But you must have the album, surely.
I don't think I did. I got it on CD, I think, later on. But
yeah.
Anyway, we're
Escape by Journey. Everyone's got that as well, haven't they?
I've got nothing under J. I think I might have
Joe Jackson. You must have some Joe Jackson, surely.
I might have Joe Jackson. No Jamiroquai.
No,
I don't think so.
You've got no the Jam.
Oh yeah, I have got some Jam. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah,
and of course you've got some Janet Jackson. I know.
No, none of that. Anyway, cut this bit out because I wanted to. The next point I wanted to go into really was the conundrum feature. Are you ready for that? Have you sorted that one out for this week?
Yep. Here it is.
So go on then. I like to jot these down as you say them to me, really. But
why do you want to jot them down?
I don't know. I just do.
Why do you have to be in control of everything?
I have to.
Just let it go. Let it go.
Okay. Yeah, I've got the joy of not writing it down.
Exactly. Right. So this week's conundrum is it okay to put clothes on a dog?
Okay. Is it okay to put clothes on a dog?
Yeah.
An interesting one. I would say, I would tend to say no.
I agree with you. Why do you think it's wrong?
I think you see it in two areas, really. You see them when you see dogs with coats on, where it's cold going.
Yeah, I don't mind a coat for a dog if a dog needs a coat.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm all right with that. I'm talking more about putting party hats on them and
I don't. It seems like exploitation.
Dresses.
Yeah, you see them looking. They dress them up as like a gangster or something, don't you? And then they put funny clothes on their front legs and makes them look like there's someone running towards you.
Exactly.
No, I think that's in poor taste, really.
Yeah, I think that's disrespectful
to the dog.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think it's wrong.
Yeah.
And it was prompted by a year or so ago. I was walking the dog in the morning, and this guy came past and his dog had shoes on, right? I mean, not brogues. It was, they were dog shoes.
The
He
proper
had
dog
shoes on all four of his paws. And I thought, oh, maybe he's got something wrong with his paws. Anyway, I kept seeing him, and this went on for about sort of 4, 5, 6 weeks. In the end, I stopped. I said, oh, is there something wrong with your dog's feet? And he said, no, he didn't like walking on the prickles from the chestnut shells.
Okay, yeah.
And this was way after autumn. And he said, this is what he said to me. He said, but he didn't seem to mind wearing them, so he just kept putting them on him.
Carried on.
So what is going on there? What really is going on is you don't want him to tread mud onto your carpet, so you're putting him in bloody shoes every day.
That's where it's coming from.
But I think that's a disgraceful way to carry on.
Yeah.
Shoes on your, putting anything on your dog for your own convenience or amusement
is not good.
I think it's totally wrong.
Well, what if it's something delicate like decorating the collar?
Don't mind that. That's all right.
It's okay.
That's all right. Daisy's got a neckerchief that says, "Be kind, I've got arthritis."
All right, okay. Which is it's like wearing a wristband saying that you've got diabetes or something,
exactly,
isn't it?
Yeah. Or you see dogs with collars on saying, "I'm nervous," or I'm going to bite your hand, or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all right, because that's necessary, isn't it? And as I say, coats, don't have a problem if your dog needs a coat in the cold weather.
Aren't they built to withstand that?
Well, some dogs are. Daisy's got a double coat. Labrador's got double coats, but Vizsla's, Nellie's only got a single coat. So if it's really cold out, she shivers. So she does need a coat. But I don't want them in parkas and shades.
No, exactly.
That's
doggles.
Wrong.
You don't want doggles on them.
Doggles is okay, although whenever I put the doggles on Daisy years ago, she would never move. It was like someone had put her feet in cement. So anyway, that's good. I think we agree on that. So don't be putting your dogs in clothes, particularly not for people's amusement on social media.
No, quite.
Okay, you see a lot, don't you?
We've put that one to bed then. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to the... sorry?
Sorry, I was just thinking of the dog. In your bed.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. I'm going to go on to the gratitude list now.
All right. Yeah. Whose goes it first?
I don't know.
You go first. Go on. I feel like I've been talking a lot today.
I've been grateful this week for meeting relatives that I didn't know that I had.
Wow. What, have you been on surprise or something?
No, quite the opposite. I went to a funeral.
Yeah.
Which was
you told me about this.
My dad's cousin. So she was 97.
Taken too soon.
I was in bits over it all, obviously. I hadn't seen her since the 80s. But it was... I went really too because my older brother wanted to go, who had more memories of Aunt Joyce. And so, I went along. And, it was nice to meet up with a lot of people there that are on the same, in the same family tree. There were like second cousins once removed. And
wow. Did Russ have his notebook with him so he could... Well, he likes a bit of genealogy, doesn't he?
He loves genealogy.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it is what it's called. But he went one better than that. He printed out that side of the family tree to give to took
handouts.
He gave it to Joyce, who was our second cousin,
right?
who was Joyce's daughter. But he'd done it in a fashion where it printed it out and then sellotaped all these bits of A4 together. So it's like quite a long document.
Wow!
And we got it out, he got it out to show Jenny. And before we knew it, everyone was crowded around the table. This was at the wake, obviously not in the crematorium. This had been a bit inappropriate.
It was during the eulogy, wasn't it?
Yeah. I said, look at this. Look how we're related. But before we knew it, everyone was crowded around the table and working out who was related to who and how we were. It's absolutely fascinating.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah, it was.
Very nice.
So Russ was able to get a lot more info as well about various people in the tree. So because he fills it all in and has notes on people in various places on the family tree.
Well, that's a very appropriate one for today, as we were talking about one of the joys of missing out being deeper connections.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have had joy of missing out on Joyce's funeral, would you? No. Yeah. No, so there's another lesson in there, isn't it? It's about being selective
as to what you're doing and where you're going. Yeah, I suppose I wouldn't have had FOMO because I wouldn't know that I was, but certainly can have But it was quite a joyous. I was grateful to be able to have a connection with my relatives that I didn't know existed.
Very good. Excellent. Well, I should have gone first, really, because mine's slightly trivial compared with that.
No, I think you often say that, but it's in your own perspective. It's just
Yeah, the thing, I think I might have had this before a long time ago, but I'm going to have it again. I've been grateful this week for Test Match Special.
Okay, I think you have had.
I think I have had it. The radio program that offers ball by ball commentary of the cricket Test matches, which I realise is niche for those people listening who don't even understand cricket, let alone like it. But there's something very kind of comforting and British about it that also takes me right back to my childhood and my dad listening to it and being on the radio in the kitchen. And it's very, it's comforting, I think. Yeah. And sometimes, particularly in a world the way that it is at the moment, I think finding something that you feel is comforting and sustaining and nourishing in that way is lovely. So I feel quite grateful for that.
It is quite nice. I mean, I like watching the Test cricket on the telly, but I know, I think any radio like that which invokes childhood memories is quite comforting.
Yeah.
But certainly the cricket, I mean, that is quite niche because, I mean, you can have a game that goes on for 5 days and it ends in a draw, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? There's
not these days, not very often. The England team don't often draw these days, but
no.
But but part of the joy of the programme is, I know this is a bit of a stretch, but I reckon even people who aren't that bothered about cricket would get something from it because it's kind of chatty and camaraderie, and I don't know. There's something really powerful about the joy of human relationships in it. It's just a lovely, programme with no edge. Well, obviously there is an edge if the batsman edges the ball.
Ultra. When they put ultra edge. Ultra edge. Well, I suppose you're right, because it is when you do listen to it on the radio, if you have it on in the back, it's a background thing, I find. It's quite like, because there's great long breaks in play sometimes, isn't there? And there can be quite a long time between bowls.
Lovely.
It depends upon the camaraderie of the presenters, really, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's actually, the more I think about it, it's very representative of what I consider to be the joy of missing out.
Yeah.
Being able to sit around all day, watch the cricket from morning till evening, fantastic.
Yeah.
Never mind, sod productivity. Don't want that.
I think that wraps it up nicely, don't you?
I think it does. I think we do, yeah.
Which could lead us on to our little quiz. So 1989, what do you think the best-selling single was that year?
89.
And so I can give you the name of the group in a minute because it's very difficult.
89. That's tricky. I find it quite difficult, that sort of transition between 80s and 90s. 89. Bros.
It was.
When will I be famous?
No, it's Black Box.
Oh, was it? No, that was Black Lace, wasn't it? Black Box. I don't know.
Oh, so you're not going to get points for the Ride on Time.
Oh yes, I remember that. Yeah. I didn't like it.
Didn't like it, no, but that was the best-selling single, which quite surprised me. But do you know who won the FA Cup this year?
I don't know who won the FA Cup in 1989, but I'm going to say it was Liverpool.
It was Liverpool. There, you got some points there, Liverpool. Do you know who they beat in the final?
Arsenal.
No, it was a Merseyside derby. It was one of those.
Was it? Liverpool-Everton.
Yeah. They all come down together in sharing cars, and it's one of the only local derbies fans mix.
Oh. Okay, well, I got a point anyway.
You got 5 points for that, and we give them 5, aren't you? Because you got 20 points last week.
Oh, okay, right. So that's a good start then this week.
Yeah, so you got 5 already, and you get an extra 5 if you know the score.
2-1.
No, 3-2.
I was going to say bloody 3-2.
Well, there we go. You gave up 5 points. 1999 was the next one.
1999. I've got no idea for the best-selling single.
Britney Spears.
Toxic.
No, one more time. And
99. Well, I mean, I'm going to go Manchester United.
Yes. Yes, it was. Yeah. So it's another.
And I'm going to say they beat I'll go Arsenal again.
They beat Newcastle. Do you remember Shearer was all disappointed at the end of the game?
Oh, yeah, because he's never won the FA Cup, has he?
No.
So I'm going to say the score was 2-0.
It was 2-0, yes. That's another 10 points.
I'm roaring.
You're roaring, mate.
Yep.
What about that? So I've gone 89, 99. I'm going to go 2009.
2009.
That's to get tougher, doesn't it, for knowing what the best-selling singer was in the UK?
I definitely don't know. I don't know. I've got no idea. You'll have to tell me the artist.
The artist is Lady Gaga.
I can't remember the name of that song of hers. I don't know, which one was it?
It was that one. Yeah,
is it that one?
Poker Face.
Oh, I sang it. Do I get any points for that?
No. Well, I could give you. I'll give you one.
Okay, great. 1 point. And FA Cup winners in 2009.
Yeah.
Arsenal.
It was Chelsea.
Yeah,
we were sort of going to the Abramovich era, weren't we?
Did they beat Wigan?
No.
I don't know. Who did they beat?
They beat Everton. It's the second time Everton have been in this as losers.
I'm going to go 2-0.
2-1. So you didn't really that, but you got a handful of. You got 16 points.
Oh, so worse than last week.
Actually, no. You got 26 points.
Oh, I got one more than last week.
No, you had 20 last week. So.
Oh, so I'm improving. Is that it?
It is it, mate. Yes.
Right.
We've dripped on for nearly an hour. 50 minutes.
50 minutes. Well, we're doing fortnightly episodes at the moment, aren't we?
Oh yeah, that's true.
We should probably make that clear to our listeners because some of them might have been looking for us last Thursday.
They were. Yeah, I had some messages saying what's going on.
Yeah. Well, I want to make it clear that it's an experiment, isn't it?
It is. Yes.
Fortnightly. We might go monthly.
Might go monthly. Might go yearly. Or might go back to weekly. We'll see how it goes. See how
it goes. Yeah.
See how it takes us.
All right then.
Lovely.
Laters.
Bye.
Bye. Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandywellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.